Hello and welcome to my show, Rate My Retirement. My name is Dan Casey. I'm going to be bringing on my guest in just a minute. We're going to review his entire retirement plan. I'm going to give you my thoughts, and you as the viewer can ask questions. If we're on Facebook, go ahead and ask questions in your comment, in the comment section there. My producer will chime in and let me know what those questions are. We will discuss them on the show. If you're watching live on Facebook, you can like my page, I think, and you'll get notifications when I do the shows in the future. If you're watching it on YouTube, it's pre-recorded, but there too, just like, subscribe, share, whatever the heck you do on YouTube. And like I said, my producer is waiting in the wings, Ryan. So again, if you have any questions or issues, just post those in the comments right there. Just real quick about me, I'm an independent financial advisor. I've been doing this for about 20 years with my own firm. I've been blessed never to have to work for the big brokerage firms, the big wirehouses, forcing me to maybe not do what I think is best for my clients. I've been invited out to Wilmington, Delaware to do TEDx talks, out to High Point University to do a talk there about inflation. And now you fine folks are inviting me into your home, your work, your car, wherever the heck you are. So let's get started. Thanks, Brian, for joining me today.
Hey, my pleasure. Happy to be here.
All right, so we're going to bring up Ryan, that first slide. Our case study here is going to be Brian and Julie Evans. And I had a feeling Julie was not going to be joining us, Brian.
Yeah.
So she's not
No,
into this
no,
kind of thing. No.
no. She likes being behind the camera, not in front of it.
Yeah, nice. All right, so here we are, Brian, Julie, ages 46 and 43. So far, the youngest ones that I've done a case study, so I love it. 2 children, 19 and 17. Brian's a director of marketing, and he's in Michigan. Ryan, go to the next slide, the asset slide. As of right now, we've got assets of $827,222 in really qualified accounts. I have it IRA there, but it's an IRA and a 401k. And then non-qualified, 163,300, and income desired. I believe you told me it was 100,000. Yeah, 100,000 gross. You didn't really know. You just threw it out.
Right.
So what I did is I bumped it up with inflation, just so 100,000 now is really going to technically be 170,000 when you guys retire. I know it sounds like a lot of money, but I think I was just using like 2.5% just to kind of get a basic income. So that's gross when you guys retire. And then Social Security, I also kind of kept bumping it up with inflation a little bit. And that's going to roughly be about $96,000 when you guys retire, which is your full benefit. And of course, Julie's spousal, which will be half of that.
Perfect.
Yeah, some of that non-qualified money. I know we talked about that. We laughed about that. Julie likes to have quite a bit of money sitting at the bank in cash. So I think $150,000 is just sitting there at a bank. So that's awesome. Whatever gives her warm fuzzies, right? That's important.
So that's what that unqualified money is the amount that's not in
Yeah,
an investment account of some sort.
I probably shouldn't use the jargon like that, but non-qualified just means, yeah, non-tax qualified. So qualified accounts are IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, all that stuff. Anything that's not in those types of retirement accounts are called non-qualified or non-tax qualified. Yeah.
Okay.
So as long as you guys are clients, I will constantly urge her to see if she can invest some of that money, even if it's, there would be very little fluctuation in some super safe investments and super liquid, so she can get access to her money pretty quickly. But again, if she's going to hate me for not being able to go down and get that money out quickly, then we'll just leave it right there.
I don't know
Let's
what
go.
the hang up is. It's not like we owe bookies or anything like that. We need 50 grand before someone breaks their kneecaps or something.
You're right. I was thinking
She
maybe
likes it. She likes it.
maybe like I was thinking maybe there's a gambling problem. I didn't want to pry too much, or
No.
no, like no meth issues, or I don't
No,
know,
no,
whatever.
no, not that I'm aware of.
All right, well that's good. That's good.
No,
So,
it's
and
that's
it's
real good.
and it's not like, what I see when I see that is a lot of times when, of course, the older generation who either they or their parents or whatever went through the Great Depression. So Julie's 43, so I'm not sure what her hang up is. So maybe she's an old soul.
Maybe that could be.
All right. All right, Ryan, go to the next screen, issues and concerns. So really all this will probably be a short show, because really all you want to know is, Dan, hey, am I on track? Am I saving enough? Do I have enough to kind of meet my goals? So that's what we're going to address today. Are you on track? Are you tax diversified? And then we're going to talk about a trust a little bit, because I know when our kids were playing hockey way back many years ago, I was urging you then, dude, you need to get a trust, and you still
Right.
haven't. I'm gonna do one last stab to try to get you to get a trust.
No, actually, I've got plans for that too. Yeah, That
All right, cool. All
that's
right, cool.
that's
It,
cooking.
it's like so not fun to do, and it's like money you just and you then you get a big binder and you throw it on your shelf, but it is important. It's like I always equate it to getting a roof on your house. It's like so not fun and it's super expensive, but whatever. Okay. All right. So the first thing I do, as regular viewers of my show will know, all 14 of them, is what I do is I go through all the assumptions, how much money you're putting in. We're going to grow it till you retire. You told me I think you wanted to retire 62-ish, right? Your age.
Yeah, or sooner.
Or sooner. Yeah, of course. Um, so I've got all the money going in. I've got it growing at an assumed rate. I've got Social Security kicking in. I've got inflation at 4% for a couple decades, a little bit higher than norm. Then I bring it down to 3, and then I kick in how much money you're going to be withdrawing at 62, and I take it all to 95, basically. You being 98, Julie being 98 or 95. So what I do is I go, okay, if to make sure his money lasts for that entire time with all these assumptions I threw at you, what rate of return do you need every single year to be set for life, to make sure that you can take all the income that you said you wanted, and be set for life? So that rate, do you want to guess at all on what rate of return you need every year from here on
Oh
out?
gosh, I have
And
no idea.
there'd be no reason why you would. I've done this for
Like
20 years. Yeah, go ahead, give it to me.
30,
Give me something.
30%.
Okay, so you'll be pleasantly surprised. So Ryan,
Oh,
I keep
good.
calling you. Bring up the rate of return rate of retirement rate of return.
Oh, even better. All right.
Isn't that sweet? All right. So what that tells me, if it did come back at like 10, 12, 15, 20%, well, then that's what I got to tell people. Sorry, you either need to start putting a lot more in, or we have to have some serious growth in the market, or maybe you're just not going to be able to get the income that you want. So I think that's perfect. Meaning, all you need to make. Oh, let me show you the difference between the 6.3 and the 7. So the 6.3% is, I just told the software, basically get him to 0 at his age 98, and Julie at 95. What rate of return does he need on his money to end with 0? So he spends all his money. That's the 6.3% mark. And then really all you need is slightly more than that. 7% is what I told the software, is end with what he started with. And when you start retiring, you're going to have around 3 million. So I said, all right, let's end with 3 million. So he lived off his assets his whole life, and he gets to pass on to his kids 3 million bucks. So not too shabby, right? And that's only 7%.
That works.
Isn't that cool? So yeah. So um and when we start to get to 7, 8, 9, it does start to get where it's I start to get a little bit more uncomfortable, because if we do have rampant inflation for a while, then we're going to probably want to ramp things up a little bit. But um, I think this is pretty awesome. So it's you guys are at a really good point right now. You saved a substantial amount of money, and we're golden. So let's go now to. Oh, I know, Ryan. Go to the RMD screen. Well, only when I tell you to. Don't do it just quite yet. So do you remember, Brian, when I think we talked when we first were going over this, and um, oh, I had asked you if you can, in your 401k, can you contribute to a Roth inside your 401k? Did you know
Right.
the answer? Do you know the
I
answer now?
don't I don't know that I can. I've been looking and I don't really see anything that clearly tells me that that's an option.
That
But
is,
open enrollment starts for my company in 5 days, so I'll be able to have access to all kinds of like planning on the benefits and all that. So I'll be able to
okay.
dig into that a little bit deeper.
And if you want, forward it to me, and I can at least browse through it as well, because it shouldn't be difficult to find out. It should really be pretty straightforward. But anyways, if you want to get it to me, let
Okay.
me know, and I'll take a look. Because if you continue at the pace that you are, what I did is that the retirement rate of return program that I run. That's assuming you make 6.3% for the rest of your life, and all these contributions going in. I think I have it at 23,520. How much you're putting in, the match, and I think I threw in a little bonus in there. I wasn't quite sure what that was going to be every year, but so all that money is going into the pre-tax world, right? Your 401k. So every dollar you put in, number one, you're increasing the required distribution, the amount that the government's going to force you to pull out when you turn 72. And I know you youngsters, 72 seems so far away. But if we can make some smart moves now, it might it might make sense. So every dollar you put in, you're increasing how much the IRS is going to force you to pull out at 72. We have no idea what tax rates are going to be. Um, so you're in relationship with the IRS, and it just keeps growing more and more. The uh, not analog, anecdote maybe that I say a lot in my seminars is um, the IRS loves you contributing to these 401ks and giving you these little deductions. And I call those little deductions apple seeds, because the apple seeds turn into apple trees inside these 401ks and IRAs. And the government is salivating over all that money, and they can't wait to tax the crap out of you. So they love giving you these little apple seeds, enticing you to put money into these accounts, and it is just growing and growing and growing. And that's the problem. I would prefer you stop that growing right now into the bucket that the government's got their hands in, and start growing it in a bucket where they can never touch again, as of today's tax laws anyway. Which
And
is, of course,
that's the Roth.
that is the Roth IRA. So what I would prefer you do is, first of all, see if your 401k, of course, has a Roth option. And then I would put as much as you can in the Roth. The match portion always goes into the pre-tax. So the match won't go into the Roth, but whatever, it's free money, whatever, we'll deal with it. And do that, and put as much as you can into the Roth 401k.
So is that, when you say put it into a Roth 401k, is that like just an investment position within my 401k plan, or is it a whole separate savings vehicle?
It's pretty much just think of it just like the regular 401k, but it's just now it's into the regular 401k. When you're contributing, and you know how it gets zapped out of your paycheck, it just goes right in, you never see it, right? So what
Right.
that does is the amount that you're putting into that 401k, it's actually reducing your adjusted gross income. So it's reducing your taxation now,
Right.
but it's going into an account, and it's growing. And so when you pull it out, though, then it increases your taxation then at tax rates unknown. So really, nothing's going to change as far as money will still get zapped out of your paycheck. And instead of putting it into the pre-tax 401k, they're going to put it into the Roth 401k. So your adjusted gross income doesn't come down as much, because you can't deduct those contributions into the Roth. But now that Roth can grow to $100,000 to $300,000 of all completely tax-free money. And that's going to be huge if we do see tax rates going up substantially, because of the fact that we're, almost 29 trillion in debt right now, and
Right.
giving money to everybody and their brother and whoever, right? So, um, so that's what I would want you to do now. And so I try to tell people that, yes, your taxes are going to go up a little bit if you stop contributing to the pre-tax and putting it in the post-tax, but the little amount that your taxes go up now, I think will reap tons of rewards in retirement, when you'll be tax diversified, and we can kind of work around whatever the hell the IRS is doing at that time, whatever the rates are. Did I just swear? I think I just
No.
swore.
No,
No, okay, good.
I don't think
All right,
so.
so all right, good, thank you. All right, so that's what we'd like to do, preferably, so we can get more tax diversified, because I did a quick analysis. If you continue to put the 23.5 into your pre-tax 401k, every year, plus the match and plus all the bonuses and everything like that, where I grow it at the 6.63%, 6.3%. And you take it all the way to 72 to figure out how much you're going to have to pull out. I think I did this, didn't I, when we first talked?
I
Do you
feel
remember
like
what
you
that
did, but I
figure?
don't remember what the number. I don't.
You probably blanked it out. So it's $241,000 that you're going to have to pull out at age 72. So that's a substantial amount of money. So you're rare in the sense that you've got a fair amount of money and you're still young. And so if you just compound that over years, you're just creating a tax monster. So that's why I want you to stop putting money into those buckets if you can, please. So,
Okay.
um, worst case scenario, if you don't have a Roth option, I would want you to only contribute what you have to get your full match, to get your free money,
Okay.
and then don't
Actually, that's
contribute a
all I'm
dollar
doing.
more.
That's all I'm doing now, anyway.
It is? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because they're matching so much, you don't even have to put much
Yeah.
in to get a nice match, right?
Right. Yep.
I
6%.
th- if this finance thing doesn't work at all out for me, I'm gonna come work for you at that company. It's a pretty awesome bonus, and whatever they're doing over there.
It
That's
seems to
pretty
have been
cool.
working well so far. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so crap. So you don't. you're already only contributing 6%. Well, whatever. I would want you to contribute to the Roth, and then I would also like you to contribute to a Roth outside of your retirement plan if you can as well. Um, just getting as much as we can into that into the tax-free world is all.
Okay.
All right. So issues, concerns. Need to start tax. All right. Let's switch over to. Let's talk about now the trust.
Yeah.
Your
Because I'm not
favorite
100%.
topic.
Well, it's not that I'm not opposed to it. Um, I just don't know what the hell a trust is and what it does. Like, what do I gain from it? Yeah, I'm happy to do one. And I just learned this past week from a colleague that apparently, in addition to the great 401k match that I get, my company also offers a benefit called Met Law, where I pay like a yearly premium to get access to local legal services to do trusts and wills and
Oh,
property
cool.
law.
All
And
right.
I pay like $20 a month to have access to the service. And then it's almost like legal insurance provided through work, just like medical insurance would be.
Wow.
So,
Gosh.
so I'm going to take advantage of that and get my trust and get my will and get all that stuff done as soon as I do my enrollment.
Can you when we're done here, can you fax me an application for that job?
Sure,
Wait, what am I
sure.
gonna do? What am I gonna do again? What do you do?
Well, it's the pharmaceutical marketing.
Oh, I can do that.
Yeah, I
All
mean you
right.
can do that.
All
Yeah.
right. Anyway. All right. So, yeah. So I would do that in a heartbeat. All right. So let's go over again what the trust does. So as of right now, the issues if you walk out of here and get hit by a beer truck, your kids one of your kids is under the age of majority in the state of Michigan. So he cannot receive any of your, oh, well, no, this would be if something happened to Julie as well. All right. So you're both on a hike and you get hit by a beer truck, both of you. Um, Tyler cannot receive any money because he's under the age of majority.
Okay.
So it would have to be probated, and a probate judge would have to decide how he gets that money.
Okay.
So and it just probate's very expensive. People assume, oh, it's a government, but you have to hire a lawyer. You have to, everything's got to be appraised. It takes months because they post everything on publicly to make sure that there's no, you don't owe anybody money. There's no
No
creditors out there,
liens.
no
Right.
liens. Yeah. So it's just stupid. It's messy. And if you can avoid it, you absolutely should. So he's going to be in the age of majority very soon here. So then the next issue is, you probably just have them listed on beneficiary forms, right? As contingents. Of course, Julie's
Exactly.
probably the main, right? Okay.
Right.
So again,
That's
really,
it.
this whole talk is more, if something happens to both of you. If something happens to you, obviously, Julie's, still around. She's got it, and everything will be fine. But um, if something happens to both of you, and the kids are on as beneficiaries, so the beneficiary forms it's really simple to, like, all you do is you put their name on there and that's it. Well, there's still a lot of things that can come up where they might not get full access to the money. So of course, I'm sure no one's getting married anytime soon, but if she ever gets married and gets the divorce and you never update your beneficiary forms or whatever, the spouse can take that money. So you would prefer it to be passed through her through a trust, so it can never be, so it can keep staying in the family and be protected. Also, if she's getting sued at all, you guys pass, she gets this money. A year later, she gets a car accident, whatever, gets sued, they can go after that money. Um, what else about? Oh, so, and that's kind of more the talk of when you pass, but a trust also handles all the while you're alive kind of stuff as well. So um, if you again get in a car accident or stroke and you're still with us but you can't write, you can't talk, there's a lot of issues that Julie would have to go through to get everything in her control so she can talk to the financial institutions and sign on your behalf. That all gets addressed in a trust. Do you remember? You probably don't remember this. Do you remember the Terry Schiavo case? Does
Yeah.
that name sound
Well,
familiar?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In
So
Florida on life support.
nice. Yes. I didn't even remember that it was Florida, but yeah, you're right. So for 15 years, she was incapacitated. She could not talk, could not write, couldn't speak for herself. So for 15 years, her husband and her family fought. So all that stuff gets addressed also in a trust, as far as what to do, what extents to do, how extensive to save your life, and all that good stuff. So it really should be all detailed in a trust, because people sometimes think, well, I'll just get a will, right? I'll go to Susie Orman and get a will or whatever. It's cheap, it's fast. The problem with the will is, and a lot of people aren't aware of this, it does not avoid probate. So currently, any assets that you have that don't have a beneficiary form, like the money at the bank, any non-qualified accounts, basically non-retirement accounts, don't have beneficiary forms like an IRA does or a 401k does. So if there are no owners for that money, then that's going to have to go through probate. So like I
Okay.
said, the money at the bank. What was your other non-qualified money? Oh, it was just that. Oh no, you have money sitting at Fidelity, nothing big, but yeah. So it's mostly just the money at the bank. Oh, and the home, the house. So the house is probably just you and Julie on the deed, right?
Right.
So that's going to have to go through probate in order for somebody to be able to get access to the house and be able to sell it for the kids, or have a judge declare that the kids can deal with it, but it's still going to have to
Okay.
go through probate. So when you get a trust, you change the deed of the house to the trust so it passes. And a lot of times what I'll see is people put band-aids on it. Like they'll like, well, I'll just put my kids on the deed of the house. And that absolutely does avoid probate. So the house would go to them, no problem. Of course, when Tyler gets 18. But the problem is that you completely lose out on what's called a stepped up basis. I'll explain kind of what that is. So let's say you bought your house for 200,000, and let's say you and Julie are on a hike, get killed by a beer truck, and the house is now worth 400,000. So the stepped up basis says that your kids can now sell this house, not that they would, but um, on the day of your death, and they would not pay any taxes on that $200,000 gain. The 200, from you bought it at 200, now it's worth 400.
Right.
They wouldn't have to pay any of those taxes because they get the stepped up basis at your death. So, so let's say they didn't sell the house on the day of your death, sell a year later for 450, they'd only have to pay capital gains taxes on that 50,000. Okay.
Yep.
So you start adding people's names, because I see this all the time. People try to get around a trust. They add their kids' names on the deed of the trust. That stepped up basis is gone. So you lose all that. So now they're an owner of the house, and so they have to pay the capital gains from part of it from the day it was purchased.
So
So
if whoever I paid for it when they were kids, they're on the hook for the capital gains that happened over time.
yes. Yep. But instead, if you get a trust and change the deed of the deed to the trust maintains that stepped up basis.
Okay.
So you get all the best of all worlds. They get control of the house, and they get the trust will keep the stepped up basis, so they will not pay taxes on all those gains.
So let's say I do a trust today, right?
Yep.
And in that same scenario, the house I'm in was paid 200 for it. It's worth 400 now. When I start the trust, does it go in at the 400 value, or does the trust absorb the responsibility for the capital gains from the 2 to the 4? Is that question you follow?
I think I do. So you would change the deed to the trust, and then yeah. So basically, how it would work is whenever you guys pass, whatever the date of your passing, and whatever the value of the home is on that date, you get to keep all those capital gains will not be taxed at all from the date of purchase to the date of your death,
Okay.
using the trust.
Okay, good.
Did I answer that question?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
All
absolutely.
right, cool. All right, let me look at that slide. Ryan, go to that slide. Is a trust necessary? So cash at bank, home and non-qualified money will be prorated. Okay, I answered that. Can't leave money to someone young. Okay, I said that. Car accident. Yeah, I scared the crap out of you about that. Inherit. Oh, I like the last one. A lot of people don't know this either. So inherited IRA, meaning, again, this is worst case scenario where you guys pass. The Supreme Court I think it was about 7 years ago, decided that they didn't decide this part, but the already in law is if somebody sues you, Brian, they cannot go after your retirement assets. An IRA is a protected asset. Okay. So, but what they decided about 6 or 7 years ago was when you pass away and your kids get your IRA, now it's an inherited IRA, they decided that that no longer is a retirement asset. So creditors can go after that, and anybody can go after that. So that was another reason why a trust makes sense to have it be paid out to the trust upon death. So to protect it from, again, that would be if she ever gets sued or something like that.
Gotcha. Kids
Okay,
never get sued or something like that, or
you
divorce
got it.
proceedings, going after assets, stuff like that.
You got it. Divorce proceedings, well, yeah, okay, yeah, that was before. If they ever get sued at one point, it was constituted as, well, no, this is an IRA. I don't care if it's an inherited or not. It's an IRA. It's a protected asset, and that's what the Supreme Court decided like 6, 7 years ago, saying no, when they inherit it, which is really kind of stupid when you think about it. When they inherit it, it's no longer a retirement asset. It's just something. It's just part of an inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of stupid, right?
Well, I mean, how many times can you tax the same dollar? Let's see how many times we can
Yeah, right,
we, we can
exactly.
take a bite of it.
It turns out a lot of times, actually,
Yeah, I'm
multiple
sure.
times.
It sounds like it. More than I was aware of, even. I'm learning something here.
Yeah, right. Okay, actions. Ryan, go to that slide. All right, I think we beat up on these, so need to start tax diversifying ASAP. Consider proper estate planning documents. If there's a desire to continue life policies, consider switching to term. Oh yeah, I think. Do you know when your term policy expires? I think
No,
you.
I forgot. I haven't called them yet to figure that out.
I'm looking at my notes and I'm not quite sure what my notes say, but it says effective May 2012, and then I wrote 2032. So is it possible you knew at the time when we talked last that you bought it at 2012 and it's a 20-year term?
Sounds right. That sounds right. I remember I was digging through all kinds of paperwork when we talked, and I think that
Yeah,
kind of
right.
sounds vaguely familiar.
All right. Well, then, yeah, that's fine. They don't.
Leave that alone for now.
I would leave that alone now for now. Yep. The only thing, because at some point we could get into another type of life insurance if you want some sort of long-term care protection, because they kind of changed the rules on not term, but it would be like a universal life or a whole life. It's a way to, another way to dodge taxes because when you put more money than needed into a life policy, it grows tax-free and it comes out tax-free. It acts basically just like a Roth. But why it might be beneficial to you, this is just something to think about. The death benefit that's created, and we can probably easily create like 1 million, if not more, between you and Julie. That if something happened to you, the kids would get that 1 million. But what they changed is that you can also use that 1 million while you're alive if you need it for long-term care, tax-free. So again, you're young, so you don't care at this point. You're like, but if your parents are like starting to think about this, you know how expensive it is. It's currently it's $8,000 a month just to get some care for, like, again, let's say
Right.
I keep making you have a stroke, but if you have a stroke and Julie's got to
It's
like bring
fine.
someone in to take care of you, or you're in a hospital long term, it's about 8,000 a
Oh
month
yeah.
to take care of you. So, and the worst time when that would happen is like right when you're like 5 years from retirement, or right when you retire and you've got these retirement assets, and now she's got to go through a ton of it to take care of you. um, if you like the idea of having some money for long-term care, it can kill two birds with one stone, because we can produce some tax-free income in that as well, but nothing of any urgency. I think you guys are still
We'll
young, so
talk
maybe
about
down the
that
road.
down the road. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, your current holdings, I did want to talk about this. Where are we? We're already half an hour in. I didn't think so your current, your 401k at you're no longer there, right? It's still at the old company.
I've got one chunk of it sitting on my old
Yes,
company.
yes,
It's all under Fidelity, but I need to figure out what to do with it.
yes. So, and you said it, but you'll probably leave it there, whatever, because it's doing really good. So I found something interesting.
Ooh.
I think I'm going to push back on your little, I think it's doing
Well
really
then,
good.
hey, I don't know.
So here's
You're
the
the
thing. Well,
expert.
no, you told me it made
It was like
24.5%.
yeah,
So here's the
and you
thing.
told me I
So
only need like 6 or 7, so I'm like way ahead of that 6 or 7
you're
right now.
yeah, just hold your horses, because I don't think you're really making that much money. I'd like to know where you got that figure from, because you gave me the ticker. So it's just basically a Vanguard target date fund.
Right.
So I went and I looked it up, and the top holdings are, so you've got 30% in a bond fund. You have another 13% in an international bond fund, and 10% in an inflation protected bond. So almost 60% are in bonds. So I'm going, there is no way he is making 24% in a fund with 50% in bonds. Especially recently, we had an inflation scare, so bonds were crushed. And as
Right.
you may or may not be aware, as the Fed starts raising rates, which they will do at some point next year, probably, whether to curb inflation or just stop the darn stock market bubble, your bonds are going to be crushed in here. So, anyways, that's another story. So I looked at the performance, and it says the target, this fund that you told me you were in, In 1 year made 13.37%. Over 3 years, it made about 9% a year. 5 years, 8.6. Anyways, so I'm curious. So I want to just do a little bit more research because I'm wondering if what you did is you're counting also your contribution. Oh no, that's an old 401k. It's not. You didn't contribute to it at all. When's the last time you contributed to that account?
Uh, January of this year.
Oh, so you did still have contributions going in. All right. So yeah, that changes things. So that might be.
Yeah, I drew one paycheck off that company this year. It says, let me look. So right now I'm pulling it. I just pulled up the Fidelity account, and it says there, right there. I'll just, I don't know.
That's too
Let's see
bright,
if
I
we
think. Oh, there it is. 20 rate of return as of. But I'm wondering. I want to know where they got that figure. Again, I don't know if they're looking at, is it just that investment or is it including your contributions? Like, did your account go up 23%?
I don't know.
That's weird. I mean, I
There,
typed in the ticker you gave me, and you're like half in bonds. There's no way you made 24% in a fund that's got half in bonds.
I mean, it just says like I've got a graph with my balance history here showing that it went from like just north of 250K in November of 20 up to 382K now,
Yeah, so that's including your contributions.
but I haven't made any contributions, remember?
Oh, I thought you said you did in this year.
Well, I got one paycheck. So like 6% of
Oh,
one
I was thinking. Oh,
bi-weekly
okay.
paycheck.
So nominal
Yeah.
amounts. All
Yeah, I
right.
mean, I
Well,
resigned from that company on January 4th of this year, so I got my 2 weeks notice paycheck that, I was entitled to.
and that figure was year to date or 1 year.
So it says here, I don't know. Here, take a look at this. See if this helps any more. I'll do my show the iPad to the screen again. Let me get it over there. There we go.
The brightness.
Does that work? Can you see that? Or is this just poor
No,
production
I can
value
see it.
here?
Oh, you know what it is? It's yeah, you only put in a little bit in that contribution, but the company contributions was like almost $30,000.
Oh yeah, that makes sense because I would they only did the 401k match once a year instead of every paycheck. You are
Yes,
correct.
that's okay. Whew, I thought I was going crazy.
No,
All
yeah,
right, all
they
right,
they they lump sum the company match once a year. So
all
that's
right,
what it is. There you go.
all right. Cool. So you absolutely should roll that into the IRA that I'm already managing for you because I think we
Okay.
made like 20 some percent over the last. All right, cool. Whew.
All right. So
All
can I
right.
roll now like for this, can I take this and roll it into one of these Roths that we were talking about?
Yeah. So what we would do is we would roll it into the IRA. So there's no taxes, and then that we would slowly convert into a Roth. But I don't know if I'm super excited about converting to a Roth right now with your income that you're making. Um, I'd have to crunch the numbers again, just because at your wages that you're making, plus if we convert some, if I start getting really not cool when you start jumping you up into the above the 24% bracket, it starts to make not sense at all to convert anymore. So that's what I want to nail down more is should we convert? Um,
Okay.
and because the only thing we risk if we don't convert and we just let it ride, I mean, at least we're cutting back on the contributions, hopefully, so it's not going to ride as much. But if we just let it ride, and the only thing we're risking is obviously because you're so young, we've got 40, almost 20 years where if tax rates are going to go up, you know, we're risking you're going to have to pay a lot more if you wait to do conversions.
Right.
So I think I do want to have that conversation. You're on board with doing maybe some conversions now, if it makes sense,
I
obviously.
I mean, if it makes, I'm open to anything if it makes sense. And in a perfect
Yeah,
world, and
right.
I'm beginning to think based on the conversations that we're having, this might be more realistic than I expected. Of maybe looking at setting a retirement date a little bit sooner, targeting like would be great if I could retire 10 years after my kids are out of college. So
Yeah,
figure
right.
Tyler graduates high school this year, be done with college in 2024, which has me retiring in what 2034. So basically, when I'm 60, right? Does that sound right?
All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so really only a year or 2 years before what I projected. So it's not going to really change that much money.
Okay, so
Now,
it's not gonna make
change
that
that much.
much.
No. Yeah. So really, the big issue is like my report only shows you pulling out what you need to live on. it doesn't equate, it doesn't factor in that you're gonna have to pull out a lot more at 72, when RMDs kick in, required minimum distributions.
Right.
And maybe 30% of that going right to the IRS. So that's something this report doesn't do. So I would be more comfortable. Yeah, if you were able to get some more into Roths now, then I know that figure of 6 to 7% is going to be a lot more accurate.
And what's the advantage of the Roth again? Is it I'm putting post-tax dollars into a Roth? Is that what happens?
So when you put money into a traditional IRA, so you do get to deduct off your current taxes how much you put in. You probably can't even do that if your income's high enough. And then, but as it grows, all these gains are going to at some point be taxable because you have to pull the money out. In a Roth, you don't get to deduct what you put in, but when it grows, all the gains are tax-free.
Okay, so there's no capital gains tied to it.
In IRAs, there are never capital gains. It's always when you pull the money out, it's taxed at whatever income tax brackets you're in both. I mean, in an IRA, basically. So when you pull it out, it's there. Yeah, as the money's growing, there are no capital gains. There's no dividends. There's no interest. It all grows tax deferred. But when you take it out of a traditional IRA, it's taxed at your regular income rates, whatever they are. So a Roth, though, can grow to $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, and it's all completely tax-free. So you don't pay money on the gains or the money that you put in, obviously, because you didn't deduct it. So it's all your money anyways. So you can see if you start young enough, you're stopping the tax clock on all the money that goes into the Roth. That money will never be taxed again. All the money you put in and all the gains you get from it. Which is why, recently in the paper, is it like Robert Thiel, I think his name was? He's got like a $200 million Roth, and then the IRS is like, yeah, no, that's not cool. We didn't really plan it for people like you, but so because at some point I think they're going to get rid of the Roth. If you already have one, you'll probably be grandfathered in, but it's just too much of a tax deal. I mean, you could grow your money to half this $3 million that you're going to have for retirement. If half that's in a Roth, that's all tax-free money. That's huge. Because when you guys die, and your kids get it, they're going to have to withdraw it because of the Secure Act that passed in 2020. But it's all going to be tax-free, so it doesn't matter. Whatever's money left in the IRA or the 401k, when you guys die and they get it, again, they still have to withdraw it due to the Secure Act, but it's all going to be taxable at whatever tax rates they're in. So it's a great tax-free gift, obviously, to your kids because you've already paid the taxes on it long ago.
Lucky them.
Yeah, right, exactly. So if tax rates go up substantially, you'll look like a rock star. If they go down, then it was the worst advice ever. But
okay. Fair enough.
I don't think anybody thinks tax rates.
Yeah, I mean, taxes aren't really going down, right?
I don't think so.
No.
All right, cool. I think that's all I have for you.
All right.
You good? All right, we'll talk again, of course, off air.
Okay.
About some of the other stuff, but yeah, that's good. I think it's awesome. You're totally on track. Let's just make a few tweaks now, and I think you'll be golden.
Awesome. Will you email me those slides just so I've got them for reference?
Yes, absolutely. And then you'll see you'll get a copy of the video as well. So if Julie wants to review it or whatever.
Oh, I'm sure she will. Yeah, she'll be into it once it's the filming's done.
Yes, exactly. All right, cool.
All right. Beautiful.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Hey, not a problem. Thanks for
all right, talk to you soon.
Here.